good, everybody? My name is Alckemy. Welcome to the channel. We're chilling today. I am kind of just taking a break from like really working on intense tunes and stuff, and wanted to just have some fun with the chat, get some cool conversations going, and get some cool sounds going. I think I'm going to start with bass today, and I just want to have a good time and kind of kick it with you all, and hope that we have a fun little show today. Normally I do these tracks from start to finish, where I'll do everything from complete scratch and then try to pretty much like finish the arrangement of the tune, but I don't really want to do that today. I kind of just want to hang out. So let me post very quickly on the Discord as usual that I am live, and that way we can get the homies in here, and then we will get started over in Bitwig. I also need to download the new version. I don't know what's included in it, but I don't think anything substantial. I've got a bit of a cough. It always happens when I first wake up. My sleep schedule has been absolute ass, but what can you say? That's probably to be expected when you are in this line of business. So we are going to open with a little bit of phase blend. And I think that we're just going to start from here and get some stuff going on. I've got this template that I use, which is this one. It seems like a lot. Okay, it is a lot, but it'll be worth it. So yeah, let's, what are you doing there, buddy? Let's go ahead and just draw in some harmonics, I believe. Gobble, gobble. There we go. Let's go ahead and do something completely different over here. Again, we'll keep that fundamental and just maybe something like that. And everything else is kind of doesn't really matter, but now that we got something like that, we can go crossfade. Got ourselves a nice little wavetable. We can do the Reese check. Hey Subsonics, how are you? So yeah, I mean, from this point, we can shape this if we want. Like, something that I've been doing a lot lately is just leaving this as is and taking out the first harmonic and then just replacing it with a sub. Something kind of like that. The trade-off is that while you lose obviously the bass, what you do get is the ability to have a clean sound. So sometimes that can be beneficial, but it's not always necessary.
Recording to logbook.
Yo, Firestep Sounds, thank you so much for the sub. I really appreciate it. Yo, thanks, man. I really appreciate that. I'm chilling today, so I'm just hanging out. So if anybody has any questions on anything or whatever of the sort, please feel free to ask. I'm not going to teach this Outlook thing per se, but I will answer your questions. All right, so let's go ahead, and I'm not really happy with this. I'm going to just reset this, and again, just to push off the fundamental or something. Usually something kind of saw or squarey is what this ends up turning into, so, or maybe an amalgamation of things in between. But with that, it's cool because we can kind of get down and dirty in some automation stuff, or I guess tablemation. I don't know how you would describe that. But in any case, you can create a keyframe and Do some cool stuff like this. I think what I'm also going to do is move these out. Okay, I was hoping that the table would like, how do you say? I was hoping that the table would like exponentially open with that. It might be something that I might ask kilohearts to do, especially when you get to this region here, because I don't know, it doesn't really matter that much. But this thing is usually where all of like the noticeable sound is going to come in. Hey, Dextrometropolis. Wow. Dextrometropolis. I'm sorry, bro. I can't talk. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. So now through this wavetable, we've got some movement here, and I can make this smaller again. I'm newish to wavetable stuff. Does Vital allow for this kind of detailed editing? I think so. I'm pretty sure. But, so I thought we created a wavetable. I think we did. Undo, undo. We did. I don't know what happened there. So there we go. Now on this side, oh no, it's still the same thing. All right. What we can do now is create some stuff here, which is like some boosties. And one thing that I've learned to try to be mindful of is when you do stuff like this, try to keep your fundamental at its highest peak. Because if you do this, is it still different? It is. Then it's going to give you more headroom to work with doing the boosting here. So I guess it doesn't matter if we were to take that out anyways. I'm kind of just yabbering. So what I was talking about though is like, you see how this can get really freaking crazy. So you want to make sure that if you're keeping the sub, it doesn't want to go past the sub, because otherwise it's going to sound all weird. But yeah. All right. So we can move that over, move this up a bit, and start to turn this into a low gain with more resonance. We can create one of these guys here and move that back up with less of a slope and resonance. So that way you're going to see that this should have some kind of sweeping filtering with this that helps create some kind of vowel stuff. This stuff is really cool because it tells you a lot about like what goes into a good wavetable and what goes into a good fundamental. But something that I got from Cage recently actually was that like if your neurobase is ass and trash, then it's likely because your fundamental is getting lost somewhere in the way. So we can add some distortion to this to have some fun. And usually what I do is just, you'll notice that this will actually like level the sound out. So you can kind of just drive it by just a touch and make some of that come out. Hey kiddo. Hey kiddo. Something else that you can do if you want to make this more interesting is one of these guys, which is the automatic EQ. And this usually, I guess it's not doing it now, but usually ends up pulling away from the sub. But this does add quite a bit of interest to the sound. So something else that we can do to make this more interesting is do a filter here. And as this comes down, we can kind of cut some of that off, open it back up, pull it back down. And so now this should have a little bit more of a, there we go. And yeah, I mean, this is great because this will teach you so much about, how do you say, like, this will teach you so much about just like making complex bass in the first place, because in theory, like you can get all your neuro basses and everything that you need just from shaping tonalities and stuff within harmonics, because that's what like all sound is, pretty much a combination of a specific type of harmonics. But with that, it's kind of interesting to build the relationship and to understand the relationship about how everything works together. So for example, one thing that I might do is just see what's going on here. Sorry, we need to be here. And I'm looking at how it is changing the waveform, but what's more important is that we're creating some space in between here. And the most confusing thing about wavetables is that the harmonics does not equate to the frequency range. It's a matter of like dealing with pitch as opposed to frequency, and while they're relative, it's not the same thing. So you kind of have to do some ballpark guessing about like what you're actually affecting whenever you do stuff like this. But you know, the cool thing is that it, once you like understand it and once you have it, then you have it. So we've got a pretty good sub now, and we can finally beat the 8-bar loop of death for the first time. Going to bed. Good night. All right, bro. Hopefully you get some sleep. So from there, like it still sounds like a saw wave, but we've got a lot of extra like little bite and whatnot. Okay, on to the good stuff. This is where we pick up the pace, because I don't really want to explain this shit, but we're just going to process the hell out of this and make cool things. So we need one of these guys. We need one of these guys. We need one of these guys. I'm going to say that probably 1,000 times if I narrate the entire thing. But yeah, how's everybody doing? How are you guys? How's what's going on in your production journeys or sound design journeys or anything else of the sort that you might want to tell me about? Doing great. Just prepping for Thanksgiving. Are you cooking or are you... Finally watched a nutty tutorial on how to make Serum into a granular synthesizer. Oh, that's dope. Yeah, man. I appreciate that some people are like still like super okay. Who the fuck? Okay, sorry, bro. Like I'm quitting Discord. Love talking to you, but I gotta talk to you later. I'm busy. What was I talking about? Yeah, I love that people are still dedicated to the Serum platform and still coming up with really cool stuff. Because there's just like when people say like it's limitless, like things really are. If you consider things from a sheer choice, like it really is limitless. Is it such a thing as too much reverb? Yeah, definitely. But it depends on the context. So we just got a couple of filters on here, and you can already see like we're getting into like neuro territory. You don't really need that many effects. I've got a video that I posted the other day about it's just like 2 saw waves, a weird shaped slice EQ filter thing, and then I think some distortion, and that was it. But that's all you really need, guys. You don't have to have anything crazy. Although, for the sake of doing stuff like this, I like to have crazy things. So I'm going to listen to this and see where this is being affected. Okay, this is going to be one of the most prominent things that you're going to hear within this bass. So it's really important to kind of shape this low mid region. This is where all the interest in magic is these two guys. And I typically try to not do stereo effects right here. I know that this is a stereo effect when I'm turning the spread down, but try not to do stuff like that just because, and delays, and like really only like filtering and distortion goes in here for me. That should make a big difference to how this sounds whenever we start doing the pitch whipping. Yeah. So likewise, when we do stuff like this, we can match the scaling here, I believe. It might be, I don't remember what it is, but UI scale. No. So that's pretty much all we want from that piece right there. And then what we want to do is kind of play it and dance around that's fine. So as this moves a little bit closer maybe, so as this moves up, this moves down, and then we can just create like some weird and wonky shapes with this. It doesn't really matter. But when we attach this, we kind of just want to be very, very subtle with what we're moving here. Yeah, see, that's too much. There we go. Same thing here. I like to use these choruses and such to and something else that you can do that's really fun is take a listen to this. Okay, that was an old Audica trick. Hey Das, how are you, bro? Okay, now that we have something like that, I'm going to put just a touch of convolution on here. There's a guy that used to come in here, Brax with the sauce, I believe his name was, and he's got this Foley pack on one of our Discord like holiday packs. It's actually in the Discord now that you can download, and it's like over a gig of like Foley. I don't know what happened and how I got rid of it, but I need to pick that back up so that way I can get back to putting Foley in here. But you know, you can just use really anything because it's just a matter of creating kind of texture in space, and like you really want to be sporadic with convolution reverb on this stage anyways, but you can still, you know, get some cool shit, I guess, if you just use the stock things. But same thing with this guy, saying we're only really getting stuff here, so we want to kind of be careful with what it is that we're pushing through. It might be interesting to, yeah, that's kind of cool. So if we were to pull the spread down, pull the detuning down, really just back off of the mix to like 4 voices. Yeah, that creates a nice sizzle on top, and then we can give ourselves some other interesting things. Modern church. Maybe we can reverse this and just ever so subtly. Give it some mix. So now, there you go. That's how you create those monstery sounding things. So there's this other trick that I started doing as well. And the reason why was because even though 90% of the time I turned the stereo like enhancer on, it was housing the overall it was housing the overall low pass filter. So something that is kind of important to do on the outside of this now is to just put one here. I used to just do it here and to just do the top, but I think that if we're just a little bit more sabbatical with the way that we process on this, then it will be a little bit easier to follow. But the thing with low pass filtering, I want to tell this to you all, like, because this is going to change the way, like, this is going to make a huge difference in your production. So, like, even though the low mids is where most of the vowel tones are, whenever you close your mouth, you are essentially applying a low pass filter. So if you can make the movement match this on your low mids and like your high end and not just sweep it across the entire range, then it's actually going to sound more organic. But if you do this, excuse me, if you do this to where it's just like all the way across, or you do something, and that's like the issue that I have with something like Morphe Q and stuff, is it doesn't really teach you about this stuff. You kind of have to be very meticulous with the way that you set things up. But the relationship of filtering is really like the key to shaping the vowels. And you really have to play Goldilocks with this, because if you do like just notches everywhere and band boosts and whatever, like you might get something cool, but it's not going to like, it's only going to be in certain moments that things start working together really well. But if you really dial in, you really listen to what it is that you are either modulating or automating, and you really listen to like what you're boosting or what you're cutting out, that is essentially how you shape a vowel. If you look at a vowel filter in general, like it's the exact same shape. Like you could pull up Vital and it'll have all these like boosts and notches. If you look at Skrillex, like his old stuff that he was showing project files from like Scary Monsters and Nice Sprites and stuff, it's the EQ, right? Which the EQ is actually just a parametric, or sorry, it's a filter. But I said I wasn't going to teach, so whatever. So we're getting a lesson today. But having a bunch of boosts and notches and stuff is the same thing as running this in serial. That was something that I got from Copycat. Thank you, bro. If Andre ever watches this, I would love to have a chat with him. It's been a long time. But doing stuff like this is essentially the same thing as doing it like with an EQ. So you don't even need slice EQ. It's just kind of convenient to do that. But it's the relationship of how everything interacts with each other. And that's what you have to like develop an ear for. That's what's going to take you, you know, the longer time of refinement. Like maybe you'll pick it up right off the bat and you're like, oh, I got it. But for the most part, like my mistake, especially if you look at my older tutorials, was I was just like fucking going crazy with that shit. And you don't need to do that. Well, you need to control it. Sorry, I think that's a better way to say that. But I mean, essentially, that is how you get these neuro kinds of sounds. And if you wanted to close more, then you could pull back off of this and make that do jittery things. So the other thing that you could do is like really mess with this and try to get this to a point to where like it's open most of the time, but then it will pull back to the other side. So this is a great example because right now you can see that for the most part, if I were to play this a lot, the high end is majorly cut out. So adjusting this and finding a way to get this to do the opposite is what's going to help keep this interesting and help make it move. So that's the kind of stuff that you'll have to like finagle with whenever you're applying randomizers. See that? Oh, whoa. Like those are the kinds of things that you want to kind of like pay attention to. But if you can tell, now it sounds like the voice is actually like opening and closing as opposed to it just being open the entire time. So the next trick to this is also like a matter of speed. Because right now, unless if I pitch things up, I have it set up this way, but unless if I pitch things up, it's going to be moving too slow. And for a tempo that's at 85, you know, it seems like it's a slow rhythm, but usually you only have stuff like you've got like half a bar for a fill, which is a quarter of a beat at 172, right? I like faster movement with that stuff. I don't want it to be like, wow, because it gets kind of boring in that way. But if you were to adjust the speed of these just a little bit, I guess that one's pretty good where it's at, but you can start to see that this stuff is going to be a little bit more jittery, I guess, no pun intended. And you turn the jitter on, then it's going to start being a little bit more, yeah, this is good shit. So from here, now we're moving. Yeah. All right, so now we can move on. Usually I put a low pass filter right here on the mid signal, but I already did that beforehand, so I don't really need to do anything else with that. But we can get into some other processing here to pop, pop, boom, boom. This should be on the sides already, so I don't really think I need to do anything else. But what we can start adding is different shit like this. And we can do like some convolution reverb or something. Okay, I was wondering what the fuck was going on here. Whoa. Okay. So now we can color the sides of this and give ourselves some interesting movement and whatnot through the rest of this stuff. But what I like to do is to just kind of go crazy on the sides because it doesn't matter as much. And the thing with the side information is that it's not going to translate to a mono system. So this is only going to be for, you know, like a hi-fi sounding type thing. But, you know, generally people are listening on like headphones or something. So it's going to make it sound even cooler, long story short. But if you were to take this, and we're not really cutting much of that, so we're going to grab another one here and cut some of the lows here. Now it sounds really wide. Now the other thing with this is that we're not doing the generator yet, but the other thing with this is setting up a global thing with this. And what this is going to do is we could label this as speed, but we can attach this to here. And what this is going to do is whenever the pitch is playing a higher tone, then you'll see that turns that up more. So it's going to go faster. So that way all of the movement whenever we do pitching and stuff is going to work with this. So there you go. What's also cool is that I have this other macro set up for downbeat. So what this does essentially is going to turn on the filter, but it's cool because it's going to make everything move together. You can yeah, so pretty cool. All right, so now we can focus on the generator, and this is kind of where we break the rules of everything. Well, most of the rules. The one golden rule of generators is have a mono channel for your low end. Other than that, it's do whatever the fuck you want. But typically speaking, I like to do stuff like this. I'm just gonna right click and go 12. Keep the correlate on the low end. That's really important. And then on the high end, it doesn't matter. You can pretty much do whatever you want. But what's interesting about this is you're gonna see that like I've got a mid-side rack here, like this. And the reason why I have this split up is because we're doing two separate splits. We're not just doing a mid and a side. We're doing a low and a high, and then on the high end we have a mid and a side. So typically speaking, on the high end here, like I might still throw like a chorus or whatever on here, but I would still break a lot of the things. That'd be cool if you could like switch between the taps. I wonder what that would do, if anything, but you can switch between this stuff and still have like interesting mono effects, I guess would be the best way I could describe that. So you can see that when you start to like add the smearing and stuff, you get some pretty sick shit. So the only thing that you need to focus on that aspect is to just create interesting filters to start to cut through it all, and make sure that you do plenty of low passing, because if you don't, like, you got to be careful about like crazy like peaking and shrieking shit, but sometimes it could be cool. We can also get into some delay stuff here, where we've just got 1, 2, and 3. Now, one thing with delays is turn the feedback down and then set it up to like maybe 50% or so, because if you don't, when there's going to be a certain time where the feedback is going to stack so high that it's just going to sound like a single tone. So you don't really want that. You want like the feedback to sound dynamic. Now, the other thing that you can do is actually have set durations like this, and then just automate the mix. Which, this sounds pretty cool, but what I'm going to do is most likely put a phaser at the end of this, because I know that a phaser is going to tame a lot of this stuff. So if you listen to it, it's going to sound pretty like harsh and like almost like wavy, like waves crashing. When you turn this on, you turn the spread down. It kind of gives everything a nice, it's still smeary, but it doesn't sound nearly as fucked up. Okay, so we're going to leave this one alone. This is just going to be our side stuff. So I typically introduce a chorus here, because that's going to make everything else wide again. And we can just kind of set a few of these, kind of like so. And Just start messing with stuff. Maybe we can do another phaser here. Turn the spread all the way up. And keep the rate around here and then let the cutoff jump around. Now we can accentuate some of that stuff by creating some of these guys. And by the way, everybody, like, this is not rehearsed. This isn't like, how do you say? Like, this is kind of just a matter of like intuition. So if you're like, I'm going to copy this exactly, like, don't, it's not worth it. Just take this as, if you're trying to learn from this, just take this as a concept. You're going to be a lot happier. I promise. Take it as a concept and forget about it. And kind of just like, when it comes to making generators and stuff, just fuck around. That's the best advice I can give you, is to just fuck around. Fuck around. Okay, so now that we have that, there's one more thing that I forgot to add onto this. There it is. I've got a low pass filter that I'd kind of just like to dance around and do stuff like that, because that will sometimes tame that. Now, what's interesting is that, like, for whatever reason, if this is not behaving, then you can actually add in another cutoff thing around here. So that way this will jump around as it moves, maybe around here or so. But when you combine these, okay, now it's sounding like that because I'm cutting all this shit off. And that's, again, just one thing you have to be mindful of. All right, so see that? That's not good. You don't want that. Let's take a look at this guy and see what this is doing. Yeah, even then, you do want this to dip, but you don't want it to like cut off everything, because that kills all the, well, it becomes a waste of time. Because if it's always just like cut out, then once you have something that you're pretty happy with, then you kind of just want to go back into this and tweak it a bit. So with this is just a high pass filter to make sure that nothing is invading on the low end. But from this, we can kind of adjust this here. There we go. Some other stuff that we can do. Yeah, it's interesting. Like, if you want to create like movement and all that within this, that is supposed to be something more specific. Like, one thing that I like to do a lot is something like this with just an LFO. And we just make it like a saw down. It doesn't really matter. But if you have something like this that creates this kind of thing, and then you grab one of these guys and adjust the time, then you can start to like create more deliberate pieces of movement throughout the randomization. So it gives you more control to can't quite hear it that much. I heard it a little bit. It sounded like a laser. Sometimes if you yeah, it's very subtle, but you can hear it. If you were to do something that was like more of like a low pass or something, then you could get away with doing that, but okay, that was huge. So by adjusting that, and sometimes when you put these effects down, you kind of have to just keep working with it until you get what you're looking for. The other thing with this is that we've also got this movement guy over here. So if you're looking for something that's going to be more specific or more predictable, rather, it's not going to be the exact same every time, but you can still use this to create interesting pieces of movement that will be repeatable as far as the shape. The timbre is going to always be a little bit different, but right. So from that, you can create some interesting stuff. Hold on one second. Something's not playing nicely right now. There we go. All right. So now that we have something like that, right, what we can do with this is do what I was talking about from before, which is removing the fundamental of this. And coming into here, remove the fundamenti, which is fine. Wait, because, oh shit. No. Damn it. Okay, can I get this back? Okay, I can. So yeah, you go here, you remove that, you go here, and you remove it. So hopefully that'll still, yeah, okay, there we go. Sometimes working with this can be kind of finicky, but we've pretty much changed it into this thing. So now this is all mids. And what you can do is you can grab a sine wave now. Oh, that is our sine wave. Okay. So now that we have this, though, this should be relatively clean. But what we need to do is we need to take all the same stuff that we have here with this pitch bendy stuff. And we need to apply it to here, so that way we should have a nice and punchy sound. There you go. If we wanted to, we could add this before the distortion here, so that way it's not just a sine wave. But you can see like there's not really a right or wrong choice, it's just a matter of timbre. And now whenever we add this, it should be a little bit cleaner in the low end. If for whatever reason this isn't like giving you what you're looking for, there's a couple of things that we can do. For one, we can mess with the automatic EQ a little bit more. So sorry, go back into this and then adjust this now. And what we're going to do is we're basically going to just make the waveform louder, because you can see that the amplitude of this is not very much. That's why it sounds quiet. So by adjusting this, we can create some cool shit. Hey Rave, what's good, bro? And then we can again start to do some other things to this, to maybe where we adjust the gain just a bit more from this. So that second harmonic is pretty prominent, but I think it's fine because we can just kind of keep that a secret. Dope. And then if we fuck it up, it's totally fine because I'm not really too concerned about it. The main thing with this is not about the source. It's about all the other stuff on the outside. But once you have all that set up, you can pretty much just kind of change this and manipulate it to how you want it to be. Hopefully that calmed things down a little bit. So now when we turn this on, reintroduce our sub again. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with the way that the filtering is coming out, but I want to adjust this just a bit. I'm going to pull off of some of these effects here and readjust these just a bit so that way they're a little bit more predictable. Hey Evan, what's good, bro? Here we go. The post knob in multipass, multipass. The post channel, not really like, well, yes. Oh, this? No. No, I don't. Not really. Multipassed. It's multipassed. Sorry. Okay, this is starting to sound a lot stronger now. I was trying to think about what I used to use that kind of gave it like tones and stuff, but I can't quite remember. I can't fucking talk today, guys. I need more coffee. I'm sorry. It's a little bit too much. When you start to get towards these like really close times, then you get that stuff. You get those like high-pitched skippy thingies, and you don't really want that. At least I don't. I don't really like that sound anymore. But I'm trying to remember, there was something that I used to, I don't know, maybe we'll just toss a convolver in here and see if we can find something interesting on here. But there was something that I used to use that kind of made it sound somewhat melodically harmonic. I want to see what happens if I pull the pitch shifter off of this. Yo, Das, thanks for coming in, bro. Appreciate you checking in and hanging a bit before we, before you go to bed. To be just a little bit faster. Happy early Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. I don't quite like American Thanksgiving, but you know. If you know, you know. Nice. Really big impacts now. One of the best things, or one of the biggest things I could say whenever you're making impacts is to have a clean sub. Because if you do that and you have the right pitch bend, I don't know, but it sounds really patriotic, I guess. So like the history of Thanksgiving is actually fucked up. It's really a day of Well, it's like the pre-events leading up to genocide of Native Americans and stuff, and it's fucked up. Fucking pilgrims. Fucking white people. Fucking white people. We ruin everything. But I do appreciate the sentiment about, people trying to be kind and whatever. But yeah. So like Thanksgiving was supposed to be a peace offering between the pilgrims and Native Americans. And then I don't remember, but like a short amount of time after that, like right after Thanksgiving, then the pilgrims came and just fucking killed them. It was fucked up. So yeah. All right, so that delay here, that second one, I'm actually gonna not use that. Whew, that's awesome. Oh no, it's fine. It's just like, it's history, right? It happened. All right, I'm happy. We made a good one today. Curious though as to why this is not really doing much for me. That's why. Okay, I know why now. Okay. It's because I didn't have this set up the right way. So when this is on, this needs to be off. And then we need to remember to solve my own problems that I create whenever I do shit like this. Thank you. Sorry. Yo, Subsonics, thanks so much for coming in, man. Appreciate you hanging out for a bit. Thank you for being patient through my arduous bass design. I mean, for the rest of you guys that are watching, I would say like on average, I get this stuff pretty quickly, but at the same time, there's still a lot of tweaking and a lot of, I'm trying to make it exactly how I want it to be. So anybody that has the patience for that while we chat and discuss things, I appreciate you chilling with us. Can I just say, like, I am so proud of how these bases have started to come out. I mean, I started doing them in 2020, around the time that I got a stencil morph, but like, man, like they just keep getting better and better. And I'm just like, fuck, man, this is awesome. I don't really know what I'm going to do after 5 though. Cause I'm like, how much better can this get? And I don't mean that like, as in like, oh, my bases are the best or anything like that, but more of like, I don't know, I guess as far as having like a full feature set of having everything included in between. The only thing that I could really think of right now until Kilohearts releases something new is how to do this with less effects, which could be cool. I might actually do that. Maybe I should do like an ultra efficient maker or something that doesn't break the fucking CPU usage. But I also don't really have a gauge because I've got a pretty beefy CPU. So I don't know. I could do a challenge of like 10 effects or something, but there's that. I don't know. Does anybody have any questions about anything or anything that you all want to know about this? Okay, this sounds way cooler now. I don't know what the fuck happened, but... I think I took the pitch shifter off. Nope, the pitch shifter's still on. Maybe instead of... Nah, it's fine. I don't think I need to do anymore. So the post knob mix seems cool. Imagine using one of your filter presets. You could throw the generator preset into the post lane, but you turn the sublane to 0. Everything but not the sub. Wait, let me read that again. Imagine using one of your filter presets. You could throw the generator preset into the post lane, but you turn the post of the sublane to 0, feeding the generator. So what you're saying is this, like, let's say I've got something on here. If I turn the post off, this ignores the post. Is that what you mean? Like it won't, it'll bypass this lane. I mean, I'd have to think about it, but looking at this chain in general, like the sub is coming out clean already. So, well, it is, but it isn't. So let me explain this. You've got everything that's going on through here, right? This is our sub. And when it goes into this rack, everything that's on the left side, which is just the mono signal, is coming through, and then everything has a high pass through this side. So the sub's not being affected when we have our neuro rack, right? But when this comes into the generator preset, we've got our sub right here, which in theory could still be, like, if I were to turn off the pitch shifter, it still wouldn't be affected, but all this stuff is only high passed. So I guess, like, I don't really see the significance of like how that could be affected, at least not yet. Like I'm not dismissing it by any means, but I'm just like, how could that be useful? I'd have to do some playing with it. But when it comes to the generator, I actually prefer to have the sub affected that plays along with the pitch shifter here. So this one has the correlate on, this one has the correlate off, because it's going to match. And the other thing is that when this generator comes on, then we're actually variating the pitch here. So we're pretty much losing the sub anyways, so it becomes less significant. But like the problem with it, hey Alberb, is that like if you just have the sub go through, it becomes like, it ruins the cohesiveness of the sound together. So, and also like you have to consider the context, right? So like whenever the generator is on, that's not meant to like serve as a bass, or it's not meant to serve as a riff maker. It's meant to serve as an effect. So, I don't know. I think that could be useful for other things, but I'm trying to, like, there's a very like clear reason why this is set up the way that it is. And it's not even that I'm reluctant to change it. It's just a matter of like, can that do something, or can I make it better in that way? The other thing that I kind of am on the fence about is that in theory, you could do that, but I like having the ability to control like a generator and multipass things separately, because that way you only have to upload one at a time. So if you upload both of them, like a container within a container, then in order to change that, you have to go into the container and then go into the other container in which to change the preset. Whereas on here, it's all kind of in front of you. You know, it's like a one tab click. But yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. I'm hoping that at some point, like I could just stack generators on generators and multipass racks on multipass racks and just see what kind of madness we could get. And in theory, I could get relatively far. But yeah, I don't know. Let me see how much CPU is this using on my computer. That's about half, so could be useful for something in the future. I made myself a note to not forget. Yeah, I won't forget that. And thank you for that tip. I'm just trying to think about like if it could be useful for a patch kind of like this. And I'm not saying that it's not. I don't have it. I don't have the. There's a reason why I wouldn't want to do that specific procedure. But even still, yeah, dude, thank you for the tip. I didn't really think about that. There's some other stuff in here that I don't really think about, like for example, like the poly of like treating everything by like a per note basis. I'm afraid of that. I'm afraid of like what would happen if I did that. It would probably destroy my computer. But it's cool that you could do that, and maybe that's something that might be useful in the future. Is like, I don't know, doing this kind of processing to like a set of keys or something, to where every single set of keys, like every key has a different. You know what I mean? Oh my God. That would be fucking, that'd be crazy. In theory, it's possible. It just doesn't seem that smart to do right now. Yeah, that would be pretty crazy. I mean, with bass and stuff, it doesn't really matter because you're only doing, one note at a time. So it doesn't really make sense to do chords. But at the same time, I mean, I have stuff that's like neuro pads and stuff, but I have everything going through together. And it almost makes more sense for everything to go through together because it sounds like it's coming from the same instrument. But even still, for like sonic exploration or so, or if you're doing something that's not something that's atonal, you could have a bunch of different like sounds sparsing through. That's all just texture. So that could be useful. Maybe we'll try that here in a second. I'm going to wrap this patch up. Does anybody have any questions about anything, or anything that you all want to know about? Give me just 1 second. I'm just texting my partner. It's important for me to tell her that I love her and that I'm thinking about her. Keeps the relationship happy. If you have a significant other, tell them that you love them often. If you have anybody in your life, actually, that is important to you, tell them that you love them often. Woo-hoo-hoo. And don't forget, it's a knob, so you can send specific lanes in and out randomly. Yeah, like if you have, maybe not a multi, is there a post? No, there's no post knob in Snap Heap. No. But I guess it would be cool if you've got like a specific frequency range of like percussion that you're firing off. That could be kind of cool. Yeah, that might be interesting. Sorry, I'm just thinking. Can I modulate the SYN to lane selector? No, you can't really select lanes in general. I guess you could. Like, you could set up like a mix thing on here to where that would be really fucking annoying. Hey, Nericol. Yeah, you could send like a step random thing to where like a certain amount does this and that, but that would be a bitch to set up. I think you would have to do that with remap, but the problem would be like trying to get each value within a certain range between 0 and 127, so that way the selector would be, oh fuck man, that would just suck. Like this selection turns this on, but then you go past that and then it turns this off and turns this on, and then you go past, you get what I'm saying? Like yeah, yikes. But I guess if you did it once and then saved it as a template, as a selector, This would be a question for Data Broth, because I think he would know how to set that up in the way that he wants to. No, you just have to snap to grid how many lanes you have. It doesn't quite work like that. And I'll tell you why it doesn't quite work like that. Because I have specific things in here. I've done it maybe once with arpeggiators to where it's an on and off selector. And the reason why it fucking blows is because, let me see in here. Hold on, let me go to Eternum 4. I think it's somewhere in here. I think. We'll see. Yes. Okay. So there should be something in here within this exponential thing that changes. No, it's not in this patch. But anyways, so I have something that would be an arpeggiator that goes from octaves. But when you use the linear representation, I remember we were talking about this on Discord, that like it doesn't behave in the way that the remap normally does. I think they fixed something about the representation here, but the problem with the remap thing that I had was like I wanted it to have an octave at some point, but it would not go between either the full octave and off between like all of the values in between the octave, and that was really hard to deal with. Long story short, that shit drove me crazy. Let me see if that's here. ARP2, ARP4 pad. I don't think this arpeggiator, hollow pad. Yeah, it's not in any of these. I think it's, though I guess you can do it with an effect selection. I'll just do this from scratch because I'll show you what I mean. But all right, let's say you've got, you know, just a little. All right, so you've got this thing here, right? So we're treating this as a step sequencer, and it doesn't really matter, but you know, do something like that, and you can set this between an octave. Now with the remap here, if I wanted this to, I believe you set this to, I think you set this to here, to 12. And then you set this one to the remap. And you have this thing to where it's on or off. Yeah, so the way that this had to be was that there had to be some kind of curve here. So it was something kind of like this, I believe, that set this to where it was like completely off, but once it reaches a specific value, it goes completely like it just turns on. And I don't quite remember what it was. I remember again like trying to figure this shit out in the Discord, but yeah, it was a pain in the ass. Yeah, but yeah, like I said, I don't quite remember what it was, but I have a couple of patches that I submitted to Kilohearts a long time ago that hopefully will see the light of day at some point. But yeah, I don't remember how to do it. I don't even remember how to use remap correctly either, to be honest. Maybe I should learn. Maybe I should remind myself how to do this. And wasn't there also something on here that had like scales on it, or what? Not this one. Complex arpeggios. Not this. I thought there was something else that had scales on it. Hey, NX, what's good? Remap is amazing. You got to get on that. Well, I mean, I've used it in the past. I just don't remember how. Actually, I'll just leave that one here. 50%. Okay. Make that really slow. Trifere. We could put this here and this by +12. Okay, now I believe that you could remap this to a scale, can't you? I think, yes, you can. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. So you could do simple, cancel, 25% chance, mirror, chromatic, minor, Lydian, Locrian. Let's do Gregorian, Dorian. You map this to here. Go 12. There we go. That's pretty sick. But if I wanted it to just be on and off, let me see how I did that. So what I would do is I have this thing that I would go arpeggiator, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. So the issue that all right. Sorry, I'm remembering now. So the issue that I ran into was if I wanted to just have this automate between on and off, see how you have all these values in between? That was the problem. And so what you would have to do is figure out a way, probably remap this again to where you wanted this to send here. This would be sent into, God, see, this is fucking crazy. But you would send that into here, and you need some kind of exponential curve to say, hey, this is off. This is on. And then you would have to map this to the overall thing. Hey, I bought the multipass yesterday mainly because you... Dude, thanks, Chonkerbot. I hope that you love it. It's convenient to have the effect split across the frequency range in one window at the same time, but boy, oh boy, how mediocre are those filters? Yes, an ARP on-off switch. The filters are not mediocre at all. They're... just stick around, Chonker. I got something to show you. Right, but that would be the point that I would want to use a remap, is to be a toggle. So, yeah, I haven't quite figured out what that formula is, but that would be the point why I would want to use a remap. Other than that, I don't really see the point of using remapping outside of doing like arpeggiators and stuff. Oh, by the way, so yeah, we're talking about filters. Yeah, those are those mediocre filters you're talking about. They're not mediocre. You just have to learn to use them. See? Yeah, the thing with the filters is not even about the filter. It's about intent with the filter. The other thing is that I don't suppose you got slice EQ as well, which you don't necessarily need, but if you do have slice EQ, then you can make your own custom filter like this. So there's that. But yeah, regarding this guy, I wanted to again just kind of have a toggle for an on-off switch, and that's what was important. But I think one thing that would also be cool is maybe to make some scales on here. I don't know how to even do this. Oh yikes! Yeah, that would suck. But creating custom scales through this that kind of format something into, into intervals that format whatever it is that you're doing here into this. But to be honest, like I'd rather just like eyeball it or something and do it that way. You could close the modulation amount in the LFO where the ball goes up and down. But that still wouldn't like, yeah, you're talking about this, right? But wait, can you? No, you can't. I can't even manipulate this. I suppose you could with this, but this I actually can't manipulate. Yeah. Slice EQ versus Pro Q3. I use them for very different things. I actually use Pro Q3 for EQ. I like the representation of the spectrograph a lot more and think that it's got better tools for mixing. So for example, slice EQ, you can't grab a node and then like only focus on that. Whereas slice EQ is very useful in the realm of phase plant because it's obviously a custom filter. But yeah, I mean, if you had to get one, it would depend. If you have the kilohertz environment, get slice EQ. If you don't have the kilohertz environment and you don't plan on getting it, get Pro Q. Yeah, so I say that, but that's a preference. Like it's Pro Q3 is just as good for doing sound design. It's just as capable and has really good stuff in it. But my personal use cases is like I almost never use slice EQ outside of anything kilohertz. In fact, I don't really use, that's not true. I do, but like what I used to do with slice EQ is like I used to have all this shit where I'd come into this and I'd go something like this, and then I'd come in here and use these tab functions like this to change these, right, individually. The reason why I don't do this is because it's really inconvenient. Long story short, it's really inconvenient, and I'll tell you why. For one, when you do things in this way, if I were to try to modulate this, you see how I lost the window? So I have to go in here, and if I do this, I can't go and find it. So what I have to do is I have to open this up and move it to the side, then go into my modulation, and then go into this. The second thing is that what I just did here is the exact same thing as doing this. This is the same thing as this. I know that the poles are different or whatever, but it's the same thing essentially. I guess there are a couple of very subtle differences that will not make a difference. For example, on the slice EQ, you can boost more, so you can push this up to a harder volume gain. And then I think that there's also a couple of other things that you can focus on. Yeah, like you can do mid-side and stereo processing and stuff. So there's that. That's important. But for the most part, it doesn't really make a big difference to me. I guess if you wanted to mix as well, then you could. So you can do something like that as well. But that only applies to bell curves and shelves. It does not apply to anything that you're actually cutting. So for me, it's actually more advantageous to do it in a single way like this, because I can actually listen in on the frequency ranges and dial exactly where I want this to be. And then if I want to do just like a crazy filter or something, like where I want to move everything at once, you know, just something like we were doing before where it was kind of whatever, it doesn't matter, but something like this, I would just move this as a whole. So I would just go here and go offset. It's a more streamlined workflow, and it does have its advantages and stuff and whatnot, but I don't think that it's necessarily like essential, especially if you're doing neuro-based stuff. But typically speaking, I don't do those individual like EQ things anymore. I don't think that it's that necessary. In fact, like most of the recent patches that I've made, like in Eternum 5, I don't know, let's just pull this one up and take a look. I'm going to bet money I don't have specific bands moving across. Yeah, so if you look at this here, it's just individual bands. And even though you can't push the gain as high, you don't need to, because you're going to end up breaking the sound anyways. So I actually favor only using stuff that's going to be moved all at the same time. Yeah, it's just too much work. It's too much work, and it gives you I would actually argue that using the slice EQ, especially if you don't know what you're doing, is going to not give you the results that you want, or not be as good. Yes, I use it as a filter maker, whether that be a comb filter or just like weird shapes. Because it serves a great purpose in that manner. But that like, just because that's how I use it, it doesn't mean that like that's how you should use it. I mean, for example, like this right here, like, yeah, this is just a regular, you know, EQ thing, dip type deal, and that's extremely useful. Pro Q3 has like the dynamic features and stuff in it. You can make this dynamic, so you can set this to a modulator that's like an envelope filter or something, to where like you can barely dip this. I guess I should show you as opposed to just talk about it. But if you were to audio follower here, and then you just dip this by like that's the cue, sorry. You just dip this by like 2 dB, then whenever you hear this, see, you can make this dynamic in that way. No, I haven't, but I'm actually glad that you brought it up, because that's actually something that I don't like about Morph EQ, is that it will make all these points and make them all move together and stuff. But the thing is that unless if you know what you're doing, it's not going to fucking matter, because you're just going to end up making resonant, peaky shit anyways. I mean, if that's what you're into, that's fine. But it seems so counterintuitive that the Morph EQ, and I'm not hating on minimal audio, by the way, because I think that on paper it could be really cool. It doesn't make sense to me, though. Are the turkeys being sus? Is that an envelope follower? Yeah. So if you're really trying to get into like neuro-based design and stuff, then you really want to be meticulous with the areas that you start to do frequency sweeping with, because I am stoned, but now I see what the dragon is from. What, the dragon? I see the dragon. What? The thing is that when you are doing filter movements and stuff, to pull out those things that you want to be very controlled with this. Whereas the Morph EQ is designed to be like all over the place. Hey Philippe, shit, I'm getting distracted as hell. What's going on? Hey Philippe. But yeah, so the Morph EQ like goes all over the place and stuff, and is great for just like sound design experimentation. But it's just weird that it was marketed towards like neuro-based producers. But I don't know. I'd still prefer to do it this way. This is the way. If you do it this way, you will get those monsters that people like to do. And maybe that's just a specific kind of neuro-based, right? Because there's all different kinds and blah blah blah. But I don't like squelchy sounds in particular. I like my stuff to be more of like a, I don't know, like a monster that sounds bigger than you, that could eat you. Like that kind of stuff. The roaring ones, not the... Yeah, that's good shit. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's a bad plugin. I just don't think that... I think that the people that it's marketed to already know how to get what they want out of it. So it's designed to be like accessible to people that... I don't know, like who the fuck is that? Who is it for? Like, I guess just like trying to think about it, like who is it for? Because if it's for people that don't know how to make neurobass, it's not going to teach them how to do it. They're just going to like do random shit. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about MorpheQ. But the people that know how to do neurobass aren't going to need something like that because they already know how to like go into the exact frequency range of it. So I don't know. It's kind of confusing to me. I don't understand it, but that doesn't mean that it's bad. And I want to make that very clear. I don't think that it's not worth it. I don't think that it's a bad plugin because it can do some really cool stuff. I just don't think that it's an optimal tool for what it seems like it was designed for. Is that fair to say? I think that that's really what it comes down to. The same thing with Rift. Like, I think that Rift has huge potential to be amazing. But I don't like that, it doesn't have a wave shaper. It doesn't have a wave shaper. Why does it not have a custom wave shaper? Like, that would make that thing a must-have. That would make it so much better. Or, like, that would, like, make it stand out as a contender against something like trash. But I'm so surprised that when it comes to the world of distortion, like they only give you these specific tables, right? They're like, you can only choose between these. You can only do that. And I'm like, you're missing. Same thing with thermal. Thermal is dope, but you can't make your own curves. Like it does have a wave shaper, but you can't, like, it doesn't have a custom wave shaper. Like you can't make your own waves. And it's like, why? Why? Is to bait lazy producers? I think so too, right? Or it's designed to like be like, oh, look how easy it is to get something different that you probably haven't heard in a normal synthesizer. And I get that, but I say that, but I don't think like minimal audio is I think is one person, and I think that like he's not one of those people that you're describing. I'm pretty sure that he makes neuro music. He's in good contact with like Frequent and Hudson Lee and all that. And I think that like he's really trying to make like innovative stuff. So that's why like I'm also like not. Yeah. Well, I'm not sure if some of those sample packs are from Frequent or something. The trailer for Rift, Frequent made that tune, and you could tell. But yeah, so it seems like he's trying to, make something that's really cool, but it almost seems like he just missed the mark, I guess. It's fast. You can draw individual filter moves at EQ, which normally end up with +5 automation lanes. You get to control how fast the movement happens, but it doesn't have any built-in modulators, right? There was something else with it that didn't make sense either. And again, like the path of it is really cool. Like I love that. I love the pathing. Like I said, I think it's a great tool. It's just I just don't think that it's like, I don't think that it's optimal for making neurobass. And that could be a hot take, and people can feel free to disagree with me, but I actually think that it's more steps, or it's going to like take you into a very like specific, yeah. Let me put it to you this way. If I were to take this off and we were to do something like this, let's say we make something like MorpheQ, which you can do this by hand, but you actually can't automate this, unfortunately. But if anybody didn't know about this, this might be interesting to you. So check this out. You can actually do this by hand, right? Yes. And I'll show you what I mean. These are randomly placed points, and it might be cool to take a sound, but the problem with it is that it's just like it doesn't give you any intuition or insight about how to control this. Because if you actually knew what you were doing, then you wouldn't be doing a fraction of these, or you wouldn't be doing a lot of this stuff. What you would be doing is this. You'd be listening to this by hand, like this. And you would create very specific movement patterns right here. And this would be doing something generally very different. But the thing is that once you get into this, even if all of these are moving the same, that's where you get into that territory of like, well, this could do that, right? As opposed to Morph EQ. Right? So there's a matter of deliberation maybe, that you would want to implement whenever you are trying to design stuff like this. And I think that like, that's why I don't think that Morph EQ is necessarily conducive to that, because it's got all these crazy shapes and stuff that also creates problems within, like, it's going to be fucking really hard to mix. So as an experiment, it's great. But if you've got all these crazy peaks and stuff that you're doing within that, you know what I mean? Like, no matter how much compression and, you know, like EQ dipping that you do, if you send something into a signal that is like this, like that's got, you know, this much, like it's going to be so much work to fix, even if it's for just a moment, or you're going to want to cut it out because, you know what I mean? And so I don't know. My thing is like, I'm really big on efficiency. I know that seems ass backwards because of how much processing I do in here, but the difference is that everything is within this and everything serves the purpose of the sound, except for the generative stuff. That's kind of like do whatever the fuck you want, but they're healthy balance. But when it comes to multipass stuff, or when it comes to the actual filter generator, there's really not that many effects. But you can see here, like the movement that I have is so specific and only focusing on certain frequency ranges. Right. That's exactly what I'm saying, is like it doesn't encourage that, and on like and that's why I say it's not a bad plugin, but it doesn't, like, you get what I'm saying? Like it's weird because it's like the ultimate neurobase tool, but it's like, I don't know, I don't know, man. I really don't want to sound like a hater and stuff, and like I wish Minimal Audio like the best because I like their products. I don't see the point of Morph EQ for me personally. And I don't know how else to communicate that without me sounding like, you know, I don't know, like I'm dogging on it. I think that it's good for other stuff outside of Neurobase, but it seemed like it was catered towards Neurobase makers, and it doesn't seem to like be good for, like, it doesn't seem to, yeah. If it had modulators, that would be great. Or more importantly, if Morph EQ, I think that was the other thing, is that if Morph EQ was designed to be in tandem with, what's it called? With Rift, like if those two were the same plugin, it'd be fucking incredible. But looking at things here in this way, like look at these crazy, like look at this stuff. But if Rift were designed with Morph EQ, my tune would change completely. I'd be like, you got to have this. You got to have this shit. Likewise, if Rift had a custom wave shape maker, I'd still feel that way too. I'd be like, you got to get this. But yeah, there's no modulators. And then there's like some other issue that Frequent covered in this that I don't remember. But I was like, man, that kind of That kind of stinks. But like, even if you listen to like some of the stuff on here and you look at like how crazy this is, like it's great, but what is it doing outside of just like crazy peaks and resonances and stuff, right? The shaping, the technology about how much control you have is amazing, but in context about why you would want to do something like this, if anything, you want to control the sound, right? You want to control what it is that you're doing when you get into advanced sound design like this, rather than just do crazy peaks and boosts. So as an explorative tool, this is great. But as far as like what it was marketed for, that's where I'm like, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah. But still, you know, a parametric EQ for $50, especially that, you know, has whatever this does. Like, I don't think that this is a bad plugin by any means. I love the way it looks. You know, I'm like, yeah, this looks great. But yeah, I wouldn't personally buy it yet. Maybe in their second thing, or like I said, you know, if they come out with Rift 3 that has like both, or if Rift comes out with the custom wave shaper for their Rift plugin or whatever. I'm sorry, I'm being redundant, but yeah, then I would buy it immediately. Yeah, I remember. There's also 30% off Black Friday. But yeah, man, like Rift like has the ability to be super cool. I think there was something with this though that had like a before and after, but it only applied to one band or something like that. And I was just like, I just don't, why? Like that doesn't make sense to me. And why can't you, anywho, they're on the right track, and I'm watching them closely because I think that as they continue to develop their plugins, it's going to be really good. But until then, it's almost better to do things not to the point where you would do it like, I think it's better for me anyways. It's better for me to do things this way because I just get the results that I want. Like that kind of stuff, like that's those kinds of sounds are what I have spent years trying to, you know what I mean, trying to replicate, like, because that's the kind of stuff that you hear like in all the cool bass music and whatnot. And I'm not saying that it's as good, but I'm at least in the ballpark. And that's what I care about, is I'm in the ballpark of like these things, these sounds that I used to admire when I first started making music. And that really comes into like, it's not about the wavetable. It's not about anything else. It's really about low mids. It's about controlling your low mids. And once you learn how to control your low mids, then it really becomes like more apparent. Because if you were to take off everything that's low MIDI, it's there, but it doesn't have the movement. It doesn't have the magic of the vowel. And once you add in those low mid stuff that controls that, like shit like that. Yeah, that's what you're looking for. If anybody's interested, I have master classes for Arcana memberships. Not trying to sell you anything, but it's just like, hey, this is what I do. This is what I spend all my time doing on this channel when I'm not making music. But yeah, I don't know. I feel bad. Some people are like, they come to me like, and they'll leave comments and stuff, and they'll be like, I'm bored of Faceplant, you know, this and that. And I'm like, well, you know, I don't talk about them because they pay me. I talk about them because like you can do the best stuff for the genre in this environment. Have I tested Arturia cold fire, or is it not precise enough and maybe too casual to interest you? Data Broth has a pretty interesting stream on it. But I think that what turned me off from it was, I'm hitting enter and it's not working. Oh, okay. Well, all right. Maybe try again. Is this not working or what the fuck? I'm trying to pull this up on the internet and okay, there we go. It looked interesting, but how do I say this? Let's pull it up first. So, I think that on paper it's pretty cool, but this runs into the same problem that I have like pretty much like Rift. The interface looks really interesting, you know, it looks catchy, and you know, it looks like something that if I were to be using it on stream, people would come in and be like, "Oh, bro, what are you using?" Right? But totally custom distortion. This doesn't have a wave shaper. It doesn't have a wave shaper. And what this means is that pretty much anything that this makes, Trash can do it. And that doesn't mean that it's not cool. It doesn't mean that it's not accessible. And that's part of it too, right? Is accessibility. But I'm not really looking for that anymore. I'm not really looking for something that... Right. Yeah, I get that. It's similar to importing wavetables into Massive X. Will probably not happen. Yeah, but I mean, and that's fine if that's the way that it is, but that kind of, you know, that kind of defeats the purpose of what I'm looking for in particular. Why would I spend $100 on another tube distortion or a selection of presets of distortions when I've already got those, right? Why would you spend, let me put it this way, why would you spend $100 on this when you could get Trash for $29? Sometimes free. I don't know, is Trash 2 still in the market? I know that it's discontinued as far as updates, but oh, that's on Sweetwater. Don't shop from Sweetwater. They suck. Okay, so right now it says that it's 99 bucks, but most of the time, like, it's on sale for 29 or they give it out for free. Oh, look, it's 29 bucks on Sandbox right now. Sound Sandbox. I don't know what that is. Hopefully they're trusted people that sell stuff, but 10 bucks. Plug-in Boutique. $10 for the most versatile distortion that is on the market. I don't want to review. I want to buy it. I don't want to buy it, but I want to show you all what this is. Trash 2. Hey Alex, how's it going, bro? All right. Anyways, you get the point, right? Break Tweaker is cool, but once Bitwig came out with operators, like that pretty much trumped Break Tweaker and did what everybody wanted from Break Tweaker. But yeah, so Trash 2 is the most versatile distortion because you have custom wave shapes. It's multi-band. I think they discontinued support for it. But yeah, you can still buy it. Oh, that says upgrade from Trash 1. Never mind. iZotope, Trash 2. Let me see if it's on iZotope. Or wait, does iZotope still work? Or is it their new thing, like Brainwaves or whatever the fuck it Brainworks? Insight 2, Stutter Edit 2. I'm looking for trash. Oh, it's no longer available for purchase. That's crazy. You can still get it from other places, I believe. Doesn't have digital degrading effects, which the Arturia plugins have. How is that different than a bit crusher? Hi, V. Did I say hi to everybody in chat? Yeah, it's the, like, what do you mean? Digital degrading is downsampling and bit crushing. RIP. Yeah, I'm sure it's on sale somewhere here. Pro Sound. There you go. You can still get it from somewhere. So it's still available somewhere, but hi, Alckemy. What's going on, V? So yeah, anyways. Okay, I'll do you one better. Here you go. Oh, no, this other one. Good thing is that trash is great. Man, my internet is so slow today. I'm so sorry, guys. Nothing much, feeling great. I got to know about your channel this year. That's awesome, man. Thank you for coming in. We have fun here. It sounds like hell is breaking loose outside. Wave Shaper MB. It's 20 bucks. Look, it's $20. Normally $40, even if it's not on sale. This, you can make your own custom wave shapes. You can make your own shit, and it's great. Are there any other pictures, though? Is this the only picture they have? Open gallery. Oh, come on. Come on. Show us the money. Show us the goods. I don't care about the presets. Oh, there it is. Look, you can make your own custom wave shapes, and you can do it on a multiband. Ah, like this is what you need. The main thing I don't like about Melda is for sure. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. The UI is fucking awful. Arteria Isotope, our hype sellers, is about catching the trends on production and quickly making VSTs to capitalize on it. They either hit or miss. Native Instruments has some good shit. Actually, every plugin company has some good shit. But as far as like what's going to be the most like bang for your buck, you want a multiband wave shaper because you can make your own distortion types. And if you want to do something that is not quite the same but similar, what you can do is you can have two distortion types, right? So what you do is you create a group. Let's just do it like this. There's a couple of different ways to do this, but let's say you've got something here. You can make your own waves, blah, 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 right? And you grab this guy here and you group this. And then you duplicate this and you make a different shape or something of the sort, doesn't really matter. And what you do is you flip these to a macro. So you go here, right, within this, and oh no, I don't even have to group this. Sorry, I've got an easier way to do this. My bad, I forgot. Bitwig stuff. You don't even have to group this. You nest this inside of this, and you can change the mix of these. There's a lot of different ways that you can do this, I suppose. But if you were to drag that in there, you can go here, turn the mix up, turn the mix down, then flip them. Sorry, wrong one. And in theory, that should be, I don't know why that's not working. but you can pretty much morph in between these. I don't know why that didn't work. Okay. Macro. Why is that not working? What's the deal here? Am I missing something? What the fuck? This guy is still using trash too. Quick, put a bug on it. Yeah, this is supposed to be working, right? Am I crazy? Or am I doing something wrong? But oh, now it's working. No, it's not. It's confused. What the fuck? Okay, it's a bug. Yeah, there we go. See, it's just doing it late. But if you look at this, hopefully. Okay, yeah, it's a bug. All right, I was like, what the fuck? Surely. So yeah, you can just mix in between these two, kind of like so. Now you are going to get some crossover in the midst, right? But even still, if you're morphing between something, like it's not quite like a wave table, right? There's all these crazy things in between. So it's two set values that you're crossfading, in between. There's no morphing that's happening, but at the same time, you can still crossfade between two custom distortions. That's why they don't sell it anymore. I think it's something that has to do with Bitwig, to be honest. Because that seems like a Bitwig thing. Now it's working. I don't know. That's not working though. But what plugins I currently look for from Kintaro tools, only have 2 at the moment. Rest is Max for Live. What are Kintaro? I don't know what that is. But anyways, pick this up. And if you can't grab this, then grab yourself the M Wave Shaper 2, because that's going to take care of 99% of your wave shape need, or like of your distortion needs. But you also have to consider, like, this is also like an experimental thing with wave shaping. Generally speaking, this might sound crazy, but I actually don't really use Trash 2 anymore. The number one distortion that I usually use is this one. And it's either this one or this one. Because when I'm trying to make something fat, this is pretty much all I need. Those are pretty much the only 2 that I ever use anymore. If you look at this, I don't need to do any outside processing to this sound. Even this. All this stuff is just here. And that's because the way, like the optimal way that I found when it comes to bass design is to stack distortions, but in subtlety, or subtly rather. It's much better for you to use distortion in small increments and very tiny amounts than to just like put like one instance of distortion and then filter it and then another huge instance of like crazy fucking distortion and stuff. And this is stuff that nobody taught me until recently. Actually, what I'm telling you is a Cage thing, but like use small bits of saturation and overdrive, which is soft clipping, in tandem with your steps, and you're going to maintain a relatively clean sound through each step of the process. And if you do that, yeah, that's my number one requested thing, is a wave shaper as a snap-in. Yeah, of course. That is my number one requested thing that I hope Kilohearts adds. I'm trying to think about anything else that I might want. Granular would be cool, but I don't really do granular anymore either. I don't know, any other kind of like granular effects I guess would be sick. But yeah, even something simple like the one from FL Studio, I'd be totally fine with that. Totally fine. Doesn't need to be bipolar, doesn't need to be anything, just a simple curve would be fucking amazing. Yeah, exactly. I think that would be great. But even still, like there's quite a bit of like distortion options that you have within the kilohertz suite. So for example, like the distortion types on the oscillator section, even though these are the same choices, these are actually different. And then you've got this whole list of things, and then you've got your saturator. Then you've got your ladder filter, which is pretty much like Moog resonant filter stuff, which is pretty cool. What else do you have? You've got your phase distortion. You've got your nonlinear filter, which is you can just kind of like do this and crank this to tubular and have a tube distortion or something. No, I don't really use Infiltrator. Well, actually, I don't use Infiltrator. I don't own it. I don't think that it has enough stuff that's unique for me to want to use it. And I find that it's like, it gives off a lot of lasery type sounds, and that's not really like my sound design palette. But yeah, the nonlinear filter has all of these other options in here. Clean, saturation, tubular, clipped, warm, bass, fuzzy, metallic. If you need a clipper, it's not my favorite, but you've got the transient shaper in here, which will actually clip this. You can create amounts, like specific amounts of distortion by cranking abusing the limiter. Bit crushing is distortion, right? So bits, dither, downsampling, all that. So like there's a ton of options that are actually within this. It's just a matter of like using them in tandem to like make your combination of whatever it is that you're doing. We're still trying to convince him. I mean, I took a look at it, but it just doesn't have anything that I'm really interested in. Trap producers will throw it on everything, but I'm not a trap producer. I'm not very good at making trap anyways. Yeah. And then of course, like you could always get, like intermodular distortion by, pushing up an EQ really fucking hard into a compressor or something, right? So if you have this at a really low threshold and then you were to take something like this and just, do something crazy. Like that in essence is I don't really know. I think it would be just called intermodular distortion, but that in essence is also a measure of distortion. So do I think Falcon hangs in there with Faceplant, or is there a clear winner between the two? I think it depends. If you're trying to create like a multi-sample instrument, like a multi-layered instrument, then I think that Falcon on paper is a better choice. But the flexibility of Faceplant is what makes it a go-to for me. I think that I've done a review on this, and I did Falcon versus Faceplant, and on paper, Falcon in theory is like an ultimate synth. Like you could do a lot of cool shit. But the random modulators on them suck. The workflow of Falcon is abysmal. It takes so freaking long to put stuff together in Falcon, and that's just because it's so confusing. And I think that it's not meant to compete against something like Faceplant, but rather it's meant to compete against, what's it called, Contact. But even still, like I don't like some of its engines. It's like it has everything, but it's not flexible, right? So like I have Falcon. I bought this like way back in 2018 because like I think I saw Cameron do a review on it and I was like, oh, this is dope. And then I got it and I was like, kind of stings. But dude, like what the fuck is I can't help but laugh, but this is such like memes to me. So you have to come into here and then you have to like even know how to navigate this stuff. But you come into this and then you pull in something like this. You can't drag it into here, right? Oh, open space. Oh, open space. No, you got to drag it into a key group. And it's like, what the fuck? So, I mean, once you understand that, then you can. So that's what I was talking about. If you're trying to build like multiple engine things across a large keyboard or something, then you could do that. But even still, it's so fucking confusing. There's still so much about this that I don't know, that I don't care to learn because of the tedium behind it. But if you look at the FM engine that this has, you do have a couple of choices here, but this is true FM, which kind of blows, meaning that you can only manipulate sine waves. So, yeah, you can only manipulate sine waves, and I don't like that about this. Does that mean that you can't get cool stuff? Of course not, but that sucks. That's all you can get. The other thing that you can do as well is you can import wavetables, which I do like that you can import images and stuff, but it's kind of weird that this doesn't have like pulse or phase modulation, rather. It's like, what? I also don't think that this has a wavetable maker, if I'm not mistaken. I might be crazy. You can import your own wavetables. I think I have like pictures on here or something, but you can't. Yeah, there's no wavetable maker. Exactly. You need the UI to like be more inviting. I don't know what this is. That looks fucking cool though. That looks sick as well. Yeah, I like that you can put in like pictures and stuff and like transform it into wavetables. That is kind of cool. But yeah, it's just weird. Like it's so limiting. And then looking at the modulation sources of stuff, it's like, okay, all right, well, that's just a sine wave. That's a single cycle waveform, so that doesn't tell you much. But let's just daftitude. Okay. So you click on this, you go to add modulator, and then you go into, fuck me, you got to go into program, or key group rather. You can do any of these, but they matter. Like you don't think that they matter, but they matter. So you can go into something like this, and then you can go into, you know, drunk, or multi-stage, or new smooth random. But then you're like, what the fuck? So you got to click over here into mods, and it's not there. Okay. Well, now you can right click and go to edit modulators, and then this pulls up, but it's another window. And while this is pulled up, you can't play on your keyboard. I don't like that. Yeah, does this have sample and hold? I don't know. But yeah, the workflow behind this just is not very fun. It's not to say that you can't make cool stuff. By all means, you can make really sick shit in here. It's just really, the workflow behind it is hella archaic. There's a bunch of stuff in here that seems like it's the exact same. For example, there's all of these filters. Can I highlight more than one of these? Let's just look at these. Look, they all look the same. Oh, that one's cool. Okay. But like, what's the difference? How are you supposed to know what the difference between a crossover filter, a brick wall filter, a biquad filter, two quad, whatever, VCF, like this relies on you knowing so much about sound design that it does not invite you to it doesn't teach you about a lot. Some of them do. Like this one's pretty cool, right? It's got a little boost in a notch or whatever. You can adjust that, which is, oh, is it not doing it? So does this not move with this? Am I tripping? No, it's just a picture. So it doesn't like tell you, no, I don't. As you can tell, like I don't like this. It's important to say, like, again, it's a very powerful tool and you can do a lot with it in theory. It could run scripts. It's got some really cool shit that you can do with the arpeggiator, and then there's some other stuff in here as well that, let me see, is it the script processor? Yeah, the performance and the sequencing stuff is really cool. They've got like Euclidean drum sequencer, Euclidean whatever, double click maybe. And that stuff in theory is pretty cool. I don't know why that's not working, but there's also this other stuff on here. Let me see where it is. Why isn't that working? Oh, it's because I'm in the wrong space, I believe. It has to be here. I think it has to be in events, and then you go to script processor, and you go to performance or any of this stuff. There we go. All right, so like, yeah, it's got cool shit like this. Right, and you know, if I were to, sorry, you can kind of like change these values and like create cool things, but I just like the way that this looks and stuff, and it has some really interesting. You can change values and all this other stuff, but it's all just hidden within menus. Which is really cool, but like I said, it's like you would never know. We need some Giles theme in here. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Okay. Yeah, anyways, Bitwig kind of replaces all the cool like MIDI stuff that you can do, at least for me anyways. Also, Ableton's Max for Live has some really cool stuff, a lot like this that you can do, but it's cool, but it's also it's also not. The Chorus is fucking awesome. I love the Chorus, and then there's the Chorus, and then there's something else. The Spark Verb is awesome. Chorus and then Phaser. Yeah, Phaser's pretty sick. This is a really, really nice sounding Phaser. This is a really good chorus. The Spark Verb is dope. I think this is a convolution reverb. Yeah, so you can do an impulse reverb. That's really cool. It's also got a diffuser. That's cool. So like it has some really great tools. It's just, oh man, it's just so hard to work with. But this isn't really designed for people that are doing like insane modulation and shit, I don't think. I think it's more of like, I don't know, cinematic sound designers that want like, you know, like very purposeful modulation, very like, it's not really, yeah, libraries and stuff. Exactly. I would have to agree with that. But if you look at some of the architecture behind this stuff, like in theory, like, oh, that's a plugin, right? But you go under the hood under this stuff and it's like, what the fuck? It's not too bad. Events, mods. Okay. Yeah. That's, imagine, oh, dude, imagine trying to navigate this. Yeah. I mean, big ups to Venus Theory, right? There's also all this other shit. So like, okay, this is what pisses me off too. There's actually there's 3 layers here, and each one of them has their own group and stuff and their own different aspect of effects. So if you're trying to reverse engineer this stuff, like good luck. Because it's just like everything is in the midst of this, but you can't tell where this is navigating to. So like, yeah, you know that there's some kind of something happening on this, but you can't fucking tell. I don't get how people build stuff in this. And if they do, they have the patience of, I don't know, massive amounts of patience. But like, I would not do that, especially for like the practicality outcome of what I'm getting out of this. Yeah, it's almost like coding, but without code. That's a great way to put it. But fuck, dude, if I wanted to do that, I could just fucking pull up this shit and very quickly, it's not going to be the exact same, but we go here, we do this, we create this thing, 12, 1, legato, because I heard that in there, filter, boom, maybe a custom donk. Same thing with the volume here. So we'll go like this to 100, like this to the, actually no, we don't need to do that, sorry. We do need a little bit. Okay, now we need a fifth on here. Sorry, this much. Wrong one. Now we just adjust. Like, it's not like, look, this is so much easier to figure out what the hell is going on. And it's not the exact same, but like, okay, you know, it doesn't need to be the same anyways. And that's what I think a lot of people get attached to, is like, oh, it's got to be the exact same. It's got to be, you know. Maybe just a little bit of delay on the top. You can't add your ugly Winamp skin to your preset packs like in Falcon, though. Yeah, I suppose not. If you want it to be more, you know, then you just set this to be. Right? But it's already kind of, you know, if you want to make it have some more space, and you can give it some reverb, but you can see, like, you can see what's going on. Like, the reverse engineering aspect of this is so much easier to figure out, like, what the fuck did he do? You know, there is a matter of like taste and stuff, but you get what I'm saying? Like, it's not hard to make this sound good, or sound at least remarkably close. I still have Falcon pulled up. So this tells me that that has more sub in it. So maybe not so much of this. Yeah. Oh, you can. Yeah, you can add any kind of skin to Faceplant, now that I think about it. But if you were to go here and make it more of a donk. Or, you know, you could. There we go. Pull out the low end from this. Anyways, yeah. You know, it's so much easier to work with, in my opinion. would you make the guitar amp feedback in multipass? Are you talking about like the woo? Is that what you mean? You would use a sine wave. And you don't even need multipass, to be honest, but you could just use a single chain or go to the post effects, and you want a comb filter, reverb, and distortion. Where is it? Reverb. And it's going to be a combination between these. We're going to go ahead and set a limiter on this because it's going to get crazy, but it's a little bit too. There it is. There you go. Yeah, so just a combination between distortions, comb filtering, and reverb. Usually you can get kind of that type of grungy sound. I'd say the Faturator is built after like a fuzz pedal. And there's some cool shit that you can get from that, but you know, you can just and then you can like automate some of the stuff here. So for example, you can fuck with this. You can also play with the dynamics. You can play with the spread. If you don't want to use the delay, you don't have to, but it'd probably be better if you were to use an actual saw wave here. Yeah. All right, hold on one second. Hey, honey. So, yeah, I mean, you know, you can pretty much imitate that to some extent, right? I mean, there's only so much that you can do, I suppose. But once you have the main idea about coloring the sound in this way, then you can get a pretty decent amp. And there's other ways that you can build it. You can play with the order, and you can also change this from a reverb into a convolution, which I would argue would be better. Yeah, why didn't I think of that? Because you can actually put cabinets into this. So you've got these cabinets, like impulse responses that you can use. So and then you could probably use that with a bit of actual conventional reverb. Yeah, but as you can tell, like, it's just kind of one of those things. I would say that I wouldn't use this as like as your whole bass, but if you're trying to get something interesting with it, then you could do that. I guess you could like go into individual processing as well, but that would make it sound too like digital, or sound too like quote unquote like creative, where most of the time whenever you have a cabinet or, you know, or an amp or something, you're sending the entire signal through. So sometimes it's better to maintain that. I like what the sine distortion does to the sound. Yeah. And I'd experiment too, right? It's not just like try them all out and see what you like. But it's, you just kind of have to experiment. Yeah, but anyways, that's how I would go about that. Does anybody else have any questions? I'm still trying to figure out phase distortion. I think that I think what it does is it just like fucks with, well, obviously the phase, but it doesn't really do a lot. Long story short, this isn't really like an over the top effect. But I suppose what we could do is you can pull up an oscilloscope and set this to a sine wave, and this is how I would go about trying to learn stuff like this. Hold on one second. There you go. So I think you can make some fat subs with it. Yeah, you can make weak sounds thicker. You could do like a funk bass like this. There you go. There's your Sega Genesis sounds. That's fucking cool. Like you do just like a little bit of FM. I mean, really, like when you come into like use cases for it, you really just have to make a sound with it and kind of figure out. Yeah, this is like Toe Jam and Earl kind of stuff. That's funny that you know that. If you were to do that with like a Moog, like a ladder filter. Yeah, I mean, but you get what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of up to you to kind of make something that's interesting. You kind of just have to fuck with it enough to get something that you like. Hold on one second. Right, just something along like that. So like, it's just, you just gotta have to keep playing with it. Hello. Or you could just, wait. Right. So maybe. What are you doing?
It's just gonna get worse though on the way to the store, so I didn't know if I should have gone before I came or what I do.
Oh, what are we going? What do you need from the store? Yeah, I mean, you can get some pretty cool timbres, through something like that. So, I had no Sega, but it gave me Amiga flashbacks. What is Amiga?
Pie crust, chocolate chips, whipped cream.
We don't have chocolate chips?
Huh?
I thought we had a one of chocolate chips. I guess you're right. Yeah, maybe just a little bit longer. Okay. Oh, it is already 4 o'clock. Yeah, does Amiga the PC? I don't know what that is. But yeah, does anybody else have any questions that you guys are wondering about? I think in general, we should probably save this preset. Commodore. Oh, got it. Yeah, I know the Commodore, and I know the Commodore 64, but I didn't know that there was like a Amiga version or something. I need a monster name. Does anybody have one offhand? Something that describes the sound that we made today. This one. Okay, that works. I'll take it. Was that from Godzilla? Mecha Ghidorah. I like how there's always like these crazy variants of all of those things. It's like Ghidorah, Mecha Ghidorah, Mecha Future Past, Space Intergalactic Ghidorah. That's like the three-headed one, isn't it? What is Drungak? Ghidorah mid-side filter. Don't know. A monster. You just made it up.
This is the monster mash. This is the
I saved the I saved the wrong one. God damn it. Ghidorah mid-side filter.
And sometimes I lose things in their way.
What?
And then I cry for hours and nights.
How about Gaudi? Evil monster shows up. Human recreated with metal. Godzilla in a nutshell. Oh, is that how that works? Humans like recreated them and then they did the thing. Ghidorah generator. All right, so I will not be. There we go. I will not be here tomorrow, obviously, because it's Thanksgiving.
Your mom's Thanksgiving, so everyone.
It's my mom's Thanksgiving, so it's gonna be.
No, I meant saying that to your listeners, like.
Oh.
Your mom's Thanksgiving's gonna be great.
I was just explaining to them why I don't like Thanksgiving and about how it's about, well, the events that followed Thanksgiving. Yeah. Oh, that's the holidays. Was wondering that as a non-American. Yeah, so it's American Thanksgiving, which, yeah. Yeah, it's American Thanksgiving. I have zero clue what Thanksgiving is. So Thanksgiving, as advertised, is about the Pilgrims making peace with Native Americans as a peace offering, only to later result in the Pilgrims slaughtering Native Americans. Was it the day after?
I thought it was the other way around, and I thought the Pilgrims were on the verge of death, and their colony was on the verge of just dying out, and the Native Americans helped them, provided them with seeds and corn and squash, the three vegetables, and kept their colony alive, and then later, Americans came back and it was total genocide.
That's what I said. Was the Pilgrims the Pilgrims and the Native Americans had a peace offering or something, and then the Americans came back and slaughtered the natives.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you meant the Pilgrims made peace with the Native Americans. I was like,
No. It was the Native Americans made peace. Yeah.
Stay alive.
Yeah. So there was a peace offering between them either way, and then the Americans came, well, I guess the Pilgrims rather, because that was before America was a thing, came back and just slaughtered all the natives and then claimed their territory because America. Wait, that's fucked up. I know. That's why I don't really care for Thanksgiving and yeah.
Do you know about the residential schools and stuff?
Maybe I didn't really want to bring that up. I'm just talking about why I don't like Thanksgiving.
On this episode of Dark History.
Yeah. America's fucked up. We're pretty lousy as a country. We've done some horrible things. But not all of us are bad, hopefully. Hopefully the world does not view us as us being just fucking entitled white people.
I do.
Well, what can you say? But anyways, you have similar holidays. Yeah, so hopefully... By the way, Gotti is a fish. Too late. JK, it's fine. I can't do anything about it. I can just hopefully spread positivity and try to appear to be a good person. But yeah, I don't particularly like Thanksgiving. I don't really like Christmas either. I don't really like holidays in general. It's kind of like, are you for real? Like, I don't know. You need one day out of the year for an excuse to be nice to somebody. Like, you should be nice to people every day. I don't know. Anywho, what was I gonna say? Yeah, we'll get back to making tunes probably on Monday or so. I'll probably take tomorrow off as well, just to spend time with her because we haven't had much time. She's been working to death. But happy Face Plant Day. Yeah, if anybody has any questions in between, I will be active on my phone. I'm always on Discord, so you can always hit me up for a chat or something or ask questions about what we did here. I'll probably be releasing a free pack pretty soon. I think that I'm just going to do like some impacts and some like neuro-based fills or whatever. So I'll just record and like process a bunch of shit like, stuff like that, and then like leave that out. So you can look forward to that. We've also got the fourth season of our Discord sample pack. Hold on, let me pull this up really quick so I can show you all. But if you're interested and you want to contribute, they must be your samples and must be royalty free, and don't try to make money off of people. But what we're looking at is the Discord sample pack collective, and we do this every year, but we pretty much just get together and we all contribute and just kind of put out, oh, it's year 4. Holy shit. Yeah. So the deadline is December 25th. And if you just got some, kicks and snares or some, cool little sounds that you want to throw together, then you can follow the guidelines, label them, make sure that you attach your name to them. So that way I can give you credit, because it's really important to me is to make sure that everybody, is mentioned and all that. So if you have stuff that you want to, that you want to toss in there, take a look at there. And then if you want to actually grab the free stuff, like there's 3 years here. So this was year 1, this was year 2, this was year 3, I believe. Yeah, so this is 2020, this is 2019, this is 2020 and 2021. So if you want to contribute, then you can, and I'll have like a little readme or something that has your credits in there and stuff. You evolved, you're red now. I'm actually looking at replacing those with the new icon pretty soon. I thought about that. You just reminded me of that, so thank you for doing that. But thank you. Congrats on the evolution. All you needed was a firestone. But yeah, other than that, I guess I'll see you all later, and much love to you all. I'll probably be playing some video games later or something, so if you have an Xbox or a Switch, then hit me up. Oh, I need to play with Xenowave. You asked me about that the other day. All right, I'm going to head off. I got to run to the store in the chaos, so good luck to me, and much love to you all, and I will see you later. Have a good night, everybody. Bye.